Hi, I'm Jill. I'm a ceramic artist and jewelry designer living just outside of Chicago. This channel is all about documenting my life as an artist and reclaiming joy along the way. For me, that joy often comes from little things like slow mornings with my cats, making time for a good cup of coffee, feeling sunshine on my skin, breathing in fresh air, or spending a quiet afternoon experimenting with clay in my studio. I've spent a lot of years feeling like my life isn't really my own. After more than a decade in the corporate world, it's easy to get caught in the grind and kind of lose touch with who you are. Living with ADHD, I've often felt the pressure to mask or shrink parts of myself just to fit into expectations, and that can leave me feeling unseen or disconnected from my true self. That's why building this small ceramics and jewelry business has become so important to me. It's about finding my voice again and leaning into my purpose to create a life that feels real. Welcome to my studio. It's a little messy in here. I need to do some cleaning soon, so I'm picking up. But I love it in here. It's like my creative haven. I've always dreamt of having my own little space to be creative. We bought our house back in 2020, and I had this long-term vision for building out a studio of my own. And if you know how expensive ceramics are, it did take me a little while, but I finally have it up and running. I have my slab roller here in front of me. I have a wheel just around the corner in the other room. And then I have a little workbench that I do some hand building stuff on. And then outside in my backyard, I have a kiln shed. So it's a tight setup, but it works for me and I love it. And I'm grateful. I'm sure I will do a little tour at some point. I'm working on some fall jewelry this week. I've got some stained porcelain earrings in the works with colored clay. So this wire is not a part of the finished piece. This is just for firing in the kiln. And I'm going to be testing a new technique that will allow me to make these like little hoops, little colored hoops. I recently got a slab roller, which has made the process of rolling out clay so much easier and allows me to get just the right thickness. I got a North Star Polaris slab roller and I really love it. Once I roll my slab out, I bring it over to my workbench to smooth it out and compress it. I work with really small slabs when I'm making jewelry, just because the clay can tend to dry out pretty quickly when I'm going through the process of smoothing out each little piece. I use a little hoop cutter and some plastic wrap to cut out all my little shapes before I smooth them out and refine them. It's a slow and tedious process, but it's actually really calming and fun. I love working with stained porcelain because it allows me to come up with a cohesive color palette for a collection and really hone in on a vibe that I'm going for. For my fall collection, I chose some muted colors like this dusty blue color, and I think it's going to be really pretty. I'll admit I haven't tested it in the kiln yet, and I'm kind of just rolling with however it turns out. Just based on my experience working with colored clay, it usually is a nice surprise in how it turns out in the kiln. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how these come together. My most recent collection was back in the spring, and it was really expansive and experimental, and I had so much fun making it. I made it during a season of grief and just kind of a darker time in my life, and it really helped me kind of like come back to myself and find joy again. So this collection is going to be quite a bit different. I'm really honing in on some tried and true techniques that I've learned to create a really more dialed in collection that's a little bit more refined and simpler and leaning into what I think is closer to my signature style. It can be kind of hard sometimes to figure out like what is my signature style. I've struggled with that a little bit, but when I think about the pieces that I reach for every day, they're often simple, chunky styles with beautiful colors, and I do like to use gold luster on my pieces too, which I'll share down the road. This fall is going to be a really busy one for me. I'm preparing for a couple of markets coming up next month. I'm really excited to get out there and talk with people and share my jewelry in person. I think it's going to be really fun. In addition to that, I am going to be teaching some classes actually on ceramic jewelry making, one with some friends to practice, and then one at a local makerspace. I've never taught before, and I think it'll be a good way to put myself out of my comfort zone and share some of these skills with other people who are interested. On top of all of that, I'm also working on launching a podcast within the next month. So I've got a lot going on, and that is kind of the main reason why I wanted to really make this fall collection a little more intentional. My ADHD brain is absolutely loving all of the new and exciting experiences, but I know firsthand how the overwhelm could kind of creep in quickly at times before you even realize it. So I want to stay mindful of that. So I'm taking this week off of my corporate job to focus on some creative small biz stuff. I'm going to be recording a couple episodes of a podcast that I'm launching this fall. It's going to be called Out of Line, and it's basically just a space to chat with other creative souls about their purpose and how they're reclaiming joy in their own lives. So I'm really excited about it. I'm slightly nervous because I'm pretty shy and quiet. So I kind of question my ability to carry a conversation for an hour or so, give or take. But I think it's going to be good. I think I'll get the hang of it, and I think it'll be a nice space to build connection with other people and hopefully help people who are feeling similarly to feel less alone. Recording my first few podcast episodes was so much more fun than I could have ever anticipated. We really went deep and explored some really meaningful topics, and I can't wait to get these episodes out in the world. This week, I also made some space to step outside of the studio and spend some quiet time in nature. I visited St. James Farm, which is a forest preserve not far from where I live. I've always loved places with history because you can almost feel the energy of everyone who's passed through, the lives and the stories layered into the land and the buildings. That presence makes me slow down and pay attention in a way that I don't always do in my daily life. Life feels so full most of the time between working a 9-to-5 job, growing a small business, taking care of my cats, and staying connected with friends and family. It's easy to forget how to move slowly and to let my nervous system rest in between. So being at this forest preserve was such a reminder that it's okay to pause and to breathe and to find a calmer rhythm. As I walked the grounds, I noticed the little details all around me, like the way the light filtered through the trees and the weathered wood of the barns. I didn't have any agenda that day. I just kind of let myself wander and reflect. And I feel like that's where my best ideas come from, when I just let myself slow down and daydream a little bit. This week reminded me how rare it is that we give ourselves moments of stillness. Life is short, and what matters most is carving out time that truly feels like our own. Time to breathe, to slow down, and to show up as our authentic selves. For me, that means being creative, but it can be anything that helps you reconnect with your spirit. Even the smallest pause, like making something with your hands, or taking a walk, or simply just sitting with your thoughts, can bring you back to what's real. So I hope you find a little space like that for yourself in the days ahead. If this video resonated with you at all, I'd love for you to subscribe and stay connected with me as I continue along this creative journey.